Well, thanks for joining me, Bill. You're one of our students here at Swinburne, and you're also the president, president of the Swinburne Finance Society. Yep, awesome. Well, why don't you give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself? What's brought you to Swinburne into finance? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me, Dan. And just by way of a quick introduction, I'm a dual degree student at Swinburne studying Bachelor of Business with a finance major and a Bachelor of Engineering with a biomedical major. I originally started engineering after I graduated high school, and then set up my own business at the same time. Really enjoyed that, and by the time I'd started employing people and running it more like an operator as opposed to a sole trader, I kind of started to know that I wanted to pursue a long-term professional career in business. And so I thought with going into finance, it would combine like the quantitative and math skills from engineering with this sort of new interest in business and really bring together kind of both sides of what are developed as skills and interests so far.
So, what's the business?
So the business is A-grade tutoring. It's a small team at the moment. We've got 11 very, very high-performing tutors working underneath me, in addition to myself.
All right, and high school or university, which just
So for high school, so really with the target market being like VCE students, so year 11 and 12.
Oh, nice. Oh, very good. Well, that takes a lot to to set up a business. What's some of the challenges that you've come across?
So really, like whenever you're doing something new in it, there's no kind of necessarily like guidebook as to how you need to do everything as someone who's a leader, I guess. And if you're the one who's got the responsibility to be taking charge and making the decisions, there isn't always an easy answer to everything, or there isn't often an easy answer to everything. And it's just about being able to think on the spot and research and find your own answers and your own strategies.
And what about bringing other people on? Have you found that easy, or being a sole trader is one thing, but then having people that are joining you, that can be also a bit tricky, right?
Yeah, so that was definitely like one of those moments where it's really you kind of have to figure out most of it as you go. And I think I've done fairly well at getting most of it right. But in terms of bringing people on, that was, yeah, a huge step towards setting it up more as a kind of more professionalized, I guess, business and taking more of a role as like an operator and a leader as opposed to just like an individual contributor. So that was, I think, for me, a huge learning curve. But I've been really lucky in being able to bring on a whole lot of great people. So it's sort of by having such a strong team. And I think this segues quite well into Swinburne Finance Society, because I think that's another strength of that organisation is just the team of people I've had around me in both of those. I've been lucky enough that they're all incredibly high performers themselves. And so they don't necessarily need like constant sort of micromanagement or anything along those lines.
Oh yeah, right. And I guess that especially that soft skills of things there, and allowing, I guess, others their autonomy and accountability and responsibilities is a key way to bring people on and to have people work with you. Have you, as you've studied at Swinburne, is there any other, big, key skills that you think you've picked up along the way?
So I'd say, like, obviously there's like the hard skills of both like finance and engineering, and that's like the really highly technical stuff related to both degrees that you definitely need like proper training to really be able to pick up, I'd say. and on top of that, yeah, you really nailed it in terms of like the soft skills, the strategy, the leadership. I've kind of naturally been someone who tends to step up and lead in things like group projects, but also then being able to meet a handful of other great people across both degrees
mm,
with a similar kind of outlook on our careers and on what we want to achieve, and then being able to start working with them
mm.
in like a setting where we're all prepared to really step up and try to do the best that we can.
So I'm sure there's plenty of other students out there that are looking to start businesses, looking to go into leadership positions and things like that. On the business starting side of things, what do you think is the best tip that you'd have for other would-be entrepreneurs out there?
So I think the best tip's really just go for it,
Mm,
because there's so many moving parts, I guess, to any business. But if you can find one with like relatively low upfront like capital requirements or low
mm,
upfront costs, that you can start. And if it doesn't work out, you haven't lost a whole lot of money, but you've probably learned quite a lot.
mm,
I think that's the best way to get into
mm,
it. Because I'm interested in as well starting more businesses sort of throughout my career and throughout my life too,
mm,
and potentially later on getting into some where there's like a higher requirement for a lot of upfront investment to be made.
mm,
But obviously that comes with a lot more risk. So I think the best way to do it is just find something sort of service based that you can do as a sole trader that doesn't
mm,
require a whole lot of upfront investment. And then the best way of looking at it is if you can kind of deal with the worst case scenario of it not working out, then you've got nothing to lose by giving it a shot.
mm,
And again, that's sort of why I'd recommend something that's fairly low risk. I mean, don't
mm,
bet the majority of your savings on like a first attempt,
mm,
but then use this experience to learn,
mm.
use it to, make mistakes in a relatively lower risk business context.
Like, and I guess if there is, even if you fail, at least if there's lessons to be learned, if you take it as a learning experience, then there is some success there, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. And
Mm,
even then it really just sort of becomes about, yeah, picking something like this where if you fail like the first time you've run the business, you haven't lost a whole lot of money, you haven't burned relationships with outside investors, and
mm.
you can always just get back up and start another one.
Now you're also doing engineering, yeah. So
Yeah.
what's some things that you're looking at career-wise from an engineering point of view?
So career-wise, what I'm looking at ultimately is wanting to get into sort of private markets,
Mm,
and definitely like the technology sector is really taking off at the moment, as I'm sure we all know. But also like biotechnology. So
mm,
within engineering, my major is biomedical engineering, and so wanting to combine my interest in business and finance with the skills that I've learnt through engineering and with like the hard skills around, how biotechnology specifically works to ideally
mm,
get into private markets. So venture capital, private equity, private credit, which is really taking off at the moment.
mm,
But if I can get into those types of roles specifically to try to help build companies within the biotech industry, that would
mm,
be kind of like the ultimate ideal goal, I guess.
mm.
And
Nice.
then staying open to the option of establishing either my own investment fund later down the track or my own
Mm,
companies within that
mm,
biotech space, after I've got some experience kind of
mm.
working from like an investor standpoint there.
No, very good. And I think that's obviously a big pathway for entrepreneurs. That is the technician entrepreneur, the one those that understand the problems that are out there in society and or in business, and can understand what looks like a good solution, and then looking to run with that. But for you, what's doing a double degree, especially business finance, what do you think is the biggest benefit out of doing them both at the same time at the moment, rather than some like I'm thinking like Facebook and like Zuckerberg, probably focus more on the technical side of things. And if you watch, what's that movie? The
Social Network.
That one. The finance side of things came later, right? And there's obviously a lot of, and the law case was all about the finance side of things, for example. But there's, you can jump over to doing more of the finance stuff later. Why do you think it might be better to do it earlier, or concurrently, like you're doing?
Yeah, so I think doing it concurrently, it really just opens up more career opportunities for me earlier on. So it means that I've got the right degrees to apply for those technical roles. I've also got the right degrees to apply for finance roles, so kind of consulting, banking, anything along those lines that can then be a good stepping stone to then get into investing and get into those private markets. And I think kind of on top of that, so that's really like the tangible, concrete benefit of there's more jobs out there that I have the right
So
background to
opportunity
apply
set
to.
is wider. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think more, almost, I'd say even more importantly than that, whichever side of the business I end up getting into, it helps to have, I think, the understanding of both aspects to it. So if, for instance, I'm leaning more towards like the finance side of things at the moment, but if I'm doing, say, a financial model of a biotech company, I want to be able to understand the technology. I want to be able to understand, the probability of it getting regulatory approval. I want to understand some of the risks around that process. And if I can, look at the company and look at the technology and be able to really make a more informed call on how viable it seems, I think that's just a huge advantage that I'd have relative to another analyst who might also be great at finance. They might have a pure finance background though, and pricing some of the risks around, the performance of the underlying technology, that might become a bit trickier.